up, everybody? Sober Experience. We are back. That's a great Manu Chao. One of my favorites. I play that shit. Pikachu. Yeah, that whole live album, the Radio Bemba sound system. You know, Manu Chao or what's the other? Mano Negra, I think was the other name of their conglomerate. Either way, feel good music. And yeah, happy Father's Day. It's a Father's Day episode. Yeah, man. And congratulations to everybody who celebrates. You did it. I guess you did it, you know. Yesterday, I was at the Mermaid Parade in Coney Island, and it was fantastic. It was really fantastic. I mean, I'm a little bit, my voice is a little bit gone because I was yelling and screaming, and I'd never been to the Mermaid Parade. I never really got that involved in actual, like, Coney Island, quote unquote. Even though I go there, you know, I've been there. I've been in Brooklyn, like, about 20, almost 20 years, maybe. And I go to Coney Island, you know, 10 times a season, I guess, you know, in the summer at least. You know, I used to go there and just ride the Cyclone all the time. I've jogged from my house over there, ride the Cyclone, jog back. Yeah. And, you know, ride the rides. When I first got sober after meetings, we used to go down there and ride the bumper cars, ride the Cyclone. So it was open lane, beep, bop, bowl. So which was cool. But I'd never really been involved in the neighborhood until I joined these polar bears. And, you know, I got to march in the parade, which was really fucking cool. It was really cool, man. You know, it was really cool. There was like a little debauchery going on, but it was nice. And, yeah, I wore this, I got this Poseidon outfit. I don't know. I think it was during the week. Yeah, maybe like Monday or Tuesday. I went to this costume store and I got this shit. And it was dope. But, like, it was still, like, a little bit extra, like the helmet. And I didn't have, like, the staff or whatever. So, you know, I just kind of a little bit made it my own. And, you know, I marched with some of the other polar bears. We had a great, I don't know, we had this thing where, like, you know, some of us had, like, these umbrellas, and then they put, because we didn't have a banner. I don't know why we didn't have a banner, but it doesn't matter. Either way, so, yeah, we didn't have a banner. So they had these umbrellas that when you put them together, it said Coney Island Polar Bear Club, and which was really cool. And so we would stop every, like, half a block and then put it together and, like, 1, 2, 3. And then, like, everyone would go, hey. And it was nice. And people were taking pictures and a lot of theatrical, yeah, things. Yeah, just like people, like, dressing up, man. And it was like a whole scene, you know. And I always really liked, you know, Coney Island for that. You know, it's like people down there, you know, it's a little bit of like an artsy kind of, you know, outcast kind of scene. And then within that scene, there's like, you know, people who are cool and people who are fucking snobs, you know. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever for that. You know, I'm not even entrenched in that whole thing to even have an opinion. I'm just saying peripherally what I've seen. So, but when it comes to stuff like this, man, everybody goes all out. And there were like these dancing crews and everybody was dressed up freaking crazy. And I fit, you know, right in, especially with my bootleg Cartier glasses that I got from Canal. Yeah. So I fit right in, and it was a good time, man. You know, I stayed there a little longer than maybe I wanted to, but, you know, not that much longer, maybe like another 30 minutes. Because you know, after the parade, Then we all separated on the boardwalk. Everybody went their certain ways. I went with like 3 other bears, including the president, OG Dennis. He's like, who's ready for a beer? I was like, fucking hell yeah. Just to chill with him, because he's the president. And we went to this bar, and of course, whatever, I don't drink. Which they don't mind, because water is cheaper than fucking, beer. And, we hung out at the bar. It was outside. Everybody was dressed up. There was a lot of, it was just a lot of flavor, a lot of color, I didn't see any riffraff as far as, like, drunk people getting fucking stupid or people being bullied, because I'm sure you can imagine there was a lot of, like, pride people and a lot of allies there and whatever. Which, I'm kind of down with all of that stuff. Yeah. And it was really, it was just an experience, I loved it. And then, so we hung out at the bar from like, I don't know, from like 2:30 or 3 until 4 o'clock, where like apparently the last thing that you do is you go and you make an offering to like the sea goddess or whatever. So like they had this drum battalion, which if I could remember correctly was like 90% like women of color. And when I mean like they were like a fucking battalion, they were like a marching band battalion. Unbelievable. Right? And they were like banging the whole time during the parade, but they led this march all the way down the beach. And I guess the king and queen go in the water first and blah, blah, blah. And then everybody goes in the water and you make like this offering, make a wish and throw it into the sea. And I didn't have anything because I didn't know that this was a thing. And, my homegirl, Teresa, she gave me an orange. So I went and I said a prayer, threw the orange into the sea. You had to walk in at least like, I was in like shin deep. I had like this little fanny pack that had like my phone and my credit cards and whatever in there. And I didn't want it to get super wet, so I didn't go all the way in. But I went in, and as I was going in and I said my prayer and I throw the orange, dude, it starts like super like raining, like thunderstorm raining, like psh, 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 psh. And these people did not stop drumming, and we were all dancing in the rain on the beach, and it was incredible. I just enjoyed the whole experience, and it's something that I do like on my own. My kids don't want to be down with it, which is okay. One of them went to like this other pride event, and the other one was planning a engagement party for their friend, and that was cool. So, and then my girl, she definitely they don't like crowds, and I love crowds, depending on what it is, I don't mind crowds, but if it's something that I want to go to, then I don't, I love it. I love being around a lot of people. It's funny because like when I was there and this other my other homegirl, this lady Suzanne, who's awesome, by the way. She's been talking for a couple of days about this Biohazard show, and I don't really go to hardcore shows anymore because of that particular crowd. It's just there's a lot of negativity that I don't want to be around. Even though I love the music, I do. I love the music. Before I went to the parade, I was in the gym, like pumping up, getting ready, because I'm out there with my shirt off, showing off the fucking goods, bro, showing off the goods, and but I'm in the gym, doing All Out War, and I love them. They're from upstate. So either way, so I'm talking with Suzanne about the Biohazard show, and she's like, yeah, I went. and blah, blah, blah. I had this extra ticket and this, that, and the third. And she was always cool. She was like, hey, look, if you want some tickets, I think she posted it on Facebook, whatever. And I was just like, I was like, yeah. I was like, dude, I don't, unless I go with like some of my crew from like upstate or whatever, or even some of the guys I got sober with that are into that kind of stuff, I don't like to go because like the vibe a lot of times can be negative. It can be confrontational. There's definitely drugs and alcohol flowing. And, there's people that I haven't seen except for in these events in like 20 years. And they are not people I want to be around. Sometimes they didn't like me back then and I didn't like them. And now I definitely don't like them. Or I just don't like their energy. And it's not like, it's not like the Mermaid Parade where people can hug and kiss and there's like, flabby titties everywhere and all this other shit. It's like, who's fucking tougher than who. And I don't want any part of that energy in my life. So, unless there's like a really, I'd have to be in the mood, and I don't know when that would be. I think I was talking about that last week too. Same thing with like the Puerto Rican Day Parade. I don't know when I would go back to that. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't hold a special place in my heart, because it does. But I don't know when I would go back. So that being said, I was talking, it is Father's Day. And, I've been a dad since I was 15 years old. I've been somebody's dad. Now, I can't, what can I really say about that? At that time, I love my son. I do. I was a kid with a kid. So you're doing like the best you can. And not that I went without, not that I went without financial support or any of that stuff. I always found a way to make money. But like I just hadn't evolved into, a responsible, loving, caring person. I believed at that time that I was, but what was love to me at that time? I know for a fact that, in active addiction, alcohol and drugs is stronger than love. And that is the truth. And I drank and drove with my kid in the car. I was, high or drunk around him all the time because I was just high or drunk all the time. I was never unadulterated. It was always like, it was always something. It was always something. And, so I don't know how present I was or how, even when I did think, I did a lot of things, some of them right, which was like, 90, what did I say? 90% of it is showing up, right? So I was showing up, but, I had him around people, places, and things, like my son has been at backyard barbecues with teenage or early 20s kids with kegs of beer flying around and, for, I guess, lack of a better memory, like my friends' bands playing and people kicking the shit out of each other and all kind of stuff, and that was like, summertime for him, maybe when he was like 6 or 7 or something, So I didn't, I just brought him with me wherever I went. And I went to all these places that, nobody wasn't happy to see him. He's the best. My son is the best. Either way. So now, and I didn't really know how to, I didn't know how to be a dad to be honest. I knew a little bit. I knew what to do as far as like, on the outside. I guess you pick them up all the time. You take them to do fun shit. You try to teach them a few things, how to, make an airplane. I guess how to hit a baseball. How to fucking, put powder on himself when he's done bathing. How to iron, I guess. But I didn't really show him, a lot of like emotional and mental, emotional stuff. What do you call it? Like, all the stuff on the inside. I guess that a mom would teach somebody, or a functional mom. I didn't have it. And I don't even think it was just because I was drunk. I just think it's just because I was young. So you got young people that are raising kids that, like, now I'm in a lot better position to, like, give maybe realistic advice, or even better, a realistic example to my kids. And, now they're a little bit older. The other two that came with my fiance, I mean, they really, they're really getting the best of me, and that's that. But he got to grow a lot with me. And I didn't have like a big house and a swimming pool and stuff that I grew up with. But I didn't also, I don't know. I didn't have any qualms about being honest with him about who I was and what was going on in our life. When we were balling out of control, he knew. And when money was tight, he knew, and he knew why. When we were struggling. And I don't know. I guess maybe the times that my heart got broken, he knew. The times that we had unwanted pregnancies, he knew. And these are all like, all the regular stuff that you kind of grow, you grow through in your 20s, and from teens to 20s. So there was no lack of experience that he didn't see like firsthand, and that's very cool. That's very cool. So he was a little bit wiser than some of his, some of the kids his age. And I guess maybe that's what I gave him. I gave him that like real life experience because I'm only really, 15 and a half or 15 3/4 years older than him. Even now, now we're almost at the 16 mark. So now he's 28, I'm 44, and yeah. So, but I only knew that was the way that I knew, like to be unadulterated, sober dad, raw with him and be like, look, this is what I'm doing right. This is what I'm doing wrong. This is what you're doing right. This is what you're doing wrong. There was no like nuance. There was no, there was love, but there wasn't any kind of, I don't know. Nothing was soft, because I wasn't soft. And it wasn't until that I met my fiance now, and she came with these two girls that like, man, I ran into myself. Like, wow. And I was very rough, to deal with. Because I didn't have any tools to be not rough. My dad is a rough guy. My mom, she's not. She's awesome, but she's rough in her own ways. Listen, my mom used to kick my sister's ass all the time. So she wasn't like some softy lady. She's a lovely woman. Don't get it twisted. But, she used to she had no problem grabbing you by the hair and smacking you 15 fucking times until you were crying and then throwing you into your room. So, yeah. But either way, so then, when I meet my girl, she comes with these two girls. at the time, one of them is like 13, the other one's like 7. And I'm so abrasive in the way that I am when I'm child rearing. I'm so abrasive because I'm dealing with a boy before that. And the boy, I had to be a little bit rough with him, because life is a little bit rough when you're a fucking boy. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way that it is. The gender shit is fucking real, bro. It's fucking real. It is. I made a joke the other day on Facebook. And I was like, yeah, because both of my kids are like gender fluid or whatever. I don't even know. I don't even ask them anymore. I know the older one, they're 23. They're both going by theys, which is fine. I don't, it doesn't bother me. But the older one's even like on testosterone, which is cool. And I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, I made a joke the other day because there was a huge fucking water bug in the house, and all of a sudden, it's me, the little one, and their mom and dog. All of a sudden, gender fucking matters now that there's a water bug in the house. Because guess who's got to catch it? Why? Because I'm the hombre? Oh, now it's Bro Rogan that has to, deal with that. So, which was funny. Either way. So, yeah, so I had to really, and it took so long because I didn't know. I didn't know that I was like that. And not only was I rough with them, I was rough with my woman. I was rough with her, man. It was just so, yeah. I don't even, you know what I'm saying? Because I know like now in hindsight that, I found out that you don't really know how much you have to change until you have to change. Because I was at risk of losing these 3 if I continued down the same path. And this is, at the time with 10 years of recovery, I was still like very demanding and unforgiving. And I was secretly keeping score. And sometimes not secretly. I was argumentative based on pride and on ego about things that didn't matter. And I wanted instantaneous results to situations that in hindsight now, especially with child rearing, it takes time to develop. Because my son was pretty compliant in a lot of ways. I said shit, he did shit. Sometimes he didn't do shit, but he didn't like back talk. I was like, what the fuck? He didn't, no way. Bro, he backed one time that I remember. He just looked at me up and down, and I slammed him all over the floor and threw him on the couch. And I told him, we had like some stupid emotional moment, while I was telling him that like, yo, because he was fucking up, and I was in his face about it, and he looked at me like I was short. And I let him know that I was the boss. But I just told him, I was like, dude, my fear is that you'll turn out the way that I did. And I'm still figuring it out. And there was a lot of pain at the end of my journey. And then on top of that, even in sobriety, as I'm describing it, there was a lot of pain that I was dishing out. I was doing harms as I was getting better. I was doing harms as I was impulsive. I was, very, very, very selfish, very ungrateful, But when you're a single guy, in your fucking 20s and you're sober and you have a kid and, who can say no? Who's telling you that you're doing wrong? There's nobody, because all my friends at the time were also in their 20s, maybe early 30s. None of them were in long-term. None of them were married. None of them were even in the prospect of being married, except for Jim. Jim Beeks. Yeah, he got married. But even then, it was just like, we were all just growing up, but we were not drinking. So we was hoeing. Yeah, we were hoeing. And not because we wanted to be hoes, but it was because we could not maintain any kind of meaningful relationship with another human being longer than, for me, like 6 months. Maybe 1 year. 1 year happened like one time. In 1 year happened one time. I got sober. I was 24. I was with somebody till I was, I think, 26. Maybe. Yeah, 2.5, 3 years, whatever. Right? No disrespect to her. But I got sober with them in my life, and then I thought I owed them, and they thought they owed me. And we found out that just wasn't a good fit. No harm, no foul. Either way, there's love on the table, and respect. But between then and the time that I met my lady, dog, it was like many years of just being like 3 months, 2 months, 2 dates, 12 dates. Then I had one for 1 year. And that was like in my mind, I thought it was like the champion, but like it wasn't even close, wasn't even close compared to what I have. And when I got what I have now, I was comparing it to that, and I was very, yeah, I still feel bad about that to this day. But again, there's no excuse. I was just doing the best that I could at that time. So even now, as I was putting my family together, I really was introduced to just another way of being. We had 2-parent household for the last 10 years, and 2-parent like evolving household where it started with like bickering and fighting. I'm sleeping on the couch. My girl leaving for the night, coming back. I think she even went one time to a hotel down the street. The arguing got so bad. There's a few times we threw a few things at each other. One time, just so resistant to either one of us would like move an edge. And it was both like, we were both learning. It was both like, like, yo, I don't like your face. Like, just looking for a reason to fight over something so stupid, just to learn how to communicate and how to build a life together and how to love somebody. It's really what I was learning how to love. The first, I think, 2 years, my little one, she wouldn't even maybe it was 2 years, I don't know. But she wouldn't even talk to me. I used to speak to her, and I was so rough, she would just like stare at me. And the older one that I knew at the time was gay. I was so fucking backwards that I used to treat her like my son, meaning that I would drive in the car and see women on the street, like, look at that bitch. Like, because that's how I talk to my kid, my son. I treat him, we were always like bitches running wild. Like, and it's funny because he respects and adores women, and he's very, he's a lot of those things that I'm not. Maybe because he see me screw up, or maybe because he, as I'm evolving, he's evolving, but at a younger age. So now at 28, he's maybe where I was at 38, at 38. So I don't know what the hell that horn beeping was. But yeah, that's how lost I was, right? And that's wildly inappropriate. I look at it now, I'm like, geez, I can't believe I fucking did that. In a desperation attempt to try and connect with kids that I didn't biologically create, And that was a huge failure. And there was a lot of other failures, And then both my kids, they come out to us, all kind of shit. And they're like, we're not, listen, if you don't, maybe you don't have kids that are, whatever, gay. I don't even know if they're gay. I don't even know the right fucking term anymore. But whatever, that are not straight, right? Maybe you don't have them, so you don't know. So a lot of the stuff you see on TV and in the news and all the propaganda, it's like propaganda to you until it's like in your home and it's somebody that you love. And then you're like, yo, man, I got to love these little fuckers, And, as a parent to a young person, a young kid, you don't know anything. Even if they are straight, like, what the fuck do you know? You're an old man. Like, I don't listen to my dad on any level. You know, I listened to him with all the wrong stuff, all the right stuff I fucking ignored. And then I made pretend he never told me. You know, that's how it went for me. You know, and until eventually he stopped telling me stuff. Either way, so, you know, then year after year, and we went through all the financial stuff, blowing up the money, rebuilding it, blowing it up again. And then, you know, my girl finding different careers, this and that. You know, I must have made her cry. I don't know how many times I made her cry. But it was definitely more than once. And, you know, maybe a few of them were really fucking bad. You know, because of my attitude, my behavior, definitely my behavior impulsively. And the level of disrespect, you know, that was just a normal part of my life that I didn't know was disrespectful. You know, the way that I looked at everybody, not just them. So they, all three of them, are the reason why I am how I am today. Now, they didn't give me anything more than a reason. You know, I had to stay in AA and in therapy and keep trying on my end to change. They just gave me the motivation. I was like, dude, I'm going to fucking, you know, I don't know how many times I almost quit. I don't know how many times. You know, I know it's been a very long time since that thought has even crossed my mind. You know, it doesn't mean that you don't get those other fleeting thoughts like, you know, in the moment, like, oh my God, is the grass greener? No, I don't even want the other grass on any level, you know. Maybe that's like just a stupid, selfish thought. Like, hey, how about I have fucking no family and I'm just single? Like, you know, yeah, like it's abnormal to not have a thought like that pass your mind. But it's just like, it's not something, it's not even, you know, back in the day, that would be like an obsession, you know. And then what do you do with that? You know, then you start looking at everything around you and it's not good enough. But I'm also fortunate that my lady, she got a lot of help too, man. We went to couples therapy a bunch of times. I stayed and got more long-term help. She stayed and she got her help for a while, and then she goes in and out of different different ways to get help. You know? And it's funny because, like, you know, I see there are people now that are in my life that are not in the rooms of recovery, and they are fucking suffering because they have no blueprint. At least I go to my people in AA and say, listen, this is what I think about my chick. This is what I think about my fucking kids. And it's wrong. And I'm fucking wrong for even thinking like that. Like who? But I'm not even knowing that I'm thinking like that until it happens. And then I have to go and everybody helps me sift through the debris. And then they teach me about integrity. And like, dude, if you're, you know, you got to, who you are is what you do. It's not what you think. You know, you got to act your way into right thinking. So I started a little bit at a time, changing. And then next thing you know, 6 months goes by without skirmish. A year goes by, 2 years go by, 3 years, 4 years go by where you're getting like one little like bubble every 6 months or so. Every 8 months. I can't even, like, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't. It's funny enough that other people that I know that are in recovery, when they're fighting with their spouse, I'm like laughing. He's like, dude, you don't even, when was the last time you had an argument? I was like, bro, I can't even remember. It was whatever it was something stupid. It wasn't something real. And it wasn't even a fucking argument. Like nobody's even mad. Forget about like not talking to you for a few hours or a whole day. Like that is not my life. Or like blowing up the cell phone with like 10-page texts and this and that and whatever. Like, yeah, that's not my life. It used to be. So I'm happy I've come that far. But what I'm saying is that, like, I was the best version of myself at each stage of the game. And now I'm the best version of myself because of these kids. And because now I consider myself like a real father, like somebody who's loving and accepting and supportive of my kids, no matter where they are, how they are, or who they are. As long as they're not really committing any kind of crazy crimes. Like, all right, you could go rob a bank, or whatever. Just don't kick no old lady down the stairs. Don't be doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it's funny. So I had a little bit at a time, and it's taking this long because now by the time I'm evolving, the kids are already have the adolescence, not my son, but the other two, have the adolescent rebellion in them that it doesn't matter what you say, you're fucking wrong. They already have that. And now I'm over here with freaking peanut butter and jelly and like all this mushy shit trying to like connect with them. And they're like, fuck off. Right. And that's normal, plus that's on top of the other stuff that I did, that I didn't do great the first couple of years that we were together. So which is fine. I'm not saying it didn't happen. Listen, anytime that I had to learn a lesson, I promise you, it was not done in silence. Every time that I crossed the line and my girl will like, motherfucker, you crossed the line. Like with these kids and with me and this, that, what. Dude, I would have to sit everybody down and make a fucking amends. Like a legit one. Like, listen, I am so sorry. Regardless of what was going on or whatever, my behavior was reprehensible, if that's the right word. Yeah, my behavior was, it's not who I want to be. And all it did was exasperate the problem, And meanwhile, they're looking, whether they know it or not, I'm the one that can help them solve their problems. So when they have a problem that they don't even know they have, and I go and I make it worse by trying to control them and trying to belittle them, yeah. Because if I think they're stupid, then guess how I'm going to behave towards them, right? And it's hard for me to hide that kind of stuff. Yeah. So by the time I evolve out of that, then I turn into who I am now. And it's only in the last maybe 5 years, maybe 4 years. Who knows? But really, and it's only getting better, to be honest with you. And they make fun of me because I am a cisgender, white-skinned alpha, Jocko, Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman fucking man. I lift weights. I eat a lot of meat. I don't fuck around. I'm not, I am what they believe to be the enemy is, which is nice because then they get to understand that not every person who is like me is the enemy. So it was yesterday when I showed the middle one, the one that's on the T. I showed them, this is my fucking outfit. I'm going to a parade. They're like, oh, it's so nice. Whatever. They were cool about it. And then I talk too much like any dad, and I overstay my welcome because I always ask them, okay, how's the T going? The testosterone. And they're like, yeah, it's going good. I said, and we always have the same thing. How are you? She's like, it makes me a little more irritable, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So I get it. Almost like, yo, welcome to the club. Even though I tried to help them, but they don't want help in that department. They want to figure it out on their own time, and which is fine because I told them, I said, look, I'll send you to fucking Dr. Rebecca, and she does the HRT, and we can just get you a pellet instead of you slamming, doing, whatever, taking a fucking needle once a week. And they're like, no, I'm like, all right, fine, do it your way. It's up to you. But in my brain, not in my brain. I was like, dude, you're going to build up calluses wherever you're injecting because you're going to have to put this in you for the rest of your life. if this is the life that you want to live until they do something else. Like I said, like these pellets that last 6 months that you need to go see Dr. Rebecca Brown for if you want to, if you need HRT and you're in the Park Slope area. You can just Google it. I'll give you the office number now. Give her a quick shout out. Hold on. Dr. Where is it? Anyway, so I'm there. All right, the office is 718-500-8840. 718-500-8840. Men and women, hormone replacement therapy, all kind of, fancy shit she's doing there. And she's amazing. And she's mad honest. Like you go in there, you get blood work. And, she's not over there slinging fucking, weenie pills, any of that stuff. So, I'm having this talk with them. And I'm like, she said it made her irritable. And I was like, my natural state is being irritable. I don't know if it's testosterone related or not. But that's like, meaning if I do nothing, if I don't go to the gym, if I don't go to meetings, if I don't talk to my sponsor, if I don't talk to my sponsees, if I don't live this sober, happy life, meaning doing healthy things that make me, that give me those serotonin bumps that we were talking about. Is that what it was? Yeah. Like if I don't live that life, then just on my own, with myself, by myself, dog, I am irritable and miserable. Yeah. I'll be allergic to joy. That's what happens. So that's why I have to live this life. And I get a benefit, and so does everybody else because I do it. And so, which is nice. It's nice to have this person be alive. So I'm talking to them about that. And I was like, look, I'm irritable naturally all the time, which is why I do what I do, blah, blah, blah. And whatever. And I said, my suggestion is, and then I told her the story I just told you guys, which is when I first met them, all three of them, including them that I'm talking to, or they, whatever. I was irritable all the time, and I was fucked up all the time. And I was not nice a lot of the times. And because I had a very short tolerance level for any kind of, ideas that weren't my own. And, I had already apologized to them 10,000 times for that. And that kind of stuff. I try to hold them accountable for when they do really foul shit because you have to. But other than that, I don't make any moral references when they cross my mind. So I was telling them that, and they're like, yeah, I get like that. I said, yeah, so you got to learn because maybe if the tea is making you this way, that you got to chill because you're going to start slapping around people that you love, like your partner, your girl, whatever, your friends. I said, I lived a lot of my life like that, including with you guys, and I had to learn how to not do that. And they were like, yeah, I think I get that from you, and which was cool. And I didn't even take it as a swipe. Maybe for like half a second, I took it as a swipe. Like, oh, yeah, of course. It's like, I think I get that from you. I was like, yeah, okay. I said, the good thing is that, I learned how to deal with it, and I'm not like that anymore to the best of my ability. And you, at 23, you get to learn what it took me till almost 40 to learn. So you're ahead of the game. You're ahead of the game. And that was like my little like ping pong thing. I'm like, oh, you think it's on me? Okay. Let me tell you something. The responsibility is yours now that you know what it is. So now you're too smart for your own good. In that sense, if you want to use it as an excuse, because I used to do the same thing. I'm like, dude, look at my dad. My dad used to beat up fucking people in the street when I was a kid. You ask my cousins, right? They'll be like, oh, yeah, Uncle Guy, he fucked up 2 guys in a department store, after yelling a couple of racial slurs at them or something. I don't even know. I wasn't there, but I've definitely seen him, which is funny, man. He don't mind fighting. So, Yeah, and I was like, dude, look at my dad. So it comes with whether DNA, obviously not, because they're not my biological kids, but the environment that I created, they can blame. But then the good thing is about being a parent is that if you take ownership of your behavior and your actions and your attitudes, regardless of what the outcome is, because I did all this changing and still could have lost my family, but I did not. And I'm grateful every day that I did not, to the point that I'm getting married. I've been engaged. I can't even tell you how long, maybe 8 years I've been engaged. We're finally walking down the aisle in August. That's how much fucking growth I needed to do before this bitch was ready, you know? And I don't say bitch in like a fucking derogatory word. I say that's how we talk like stupid to each other. But yeah, but that's what it took. And it's hard not to respect that. It's hard not to respect that. Now it's very hard not to respect that. And that was my thing. I told him, I said, you could blame how it started, but now you can't blame that you don't know. And I'm letting you know that this is some perils that you need to work on. So, and then I know that they kind of judge themselves a little bit because some of their friends are technically, if you're looking at the straight arrow Gennaro stuff, they're like ahead of the game as far as life goes. Maybe they have degrees and one of their friends is getting married and they're probably going to start all this other shit where they're not there yet. They're a little bit away from an associate. They know they have to go back to school. There's a whole host of things that were going on, but they're running their own race. I said, yeah, but here's the thing. I said, you're working on yourself. They are working on life. I said, once you get a hold of that, then you can go out there and you can live your own life and you'll be ahead of them. Because my friends that are now in their 40s, if I go through my Facebook feed, I can't tell you how many. What would I guess? I would guess like 50% of them are divorced that were married in their 20s and 30s. 50% minimum. Some of them are on their second marriage now. And above the 50%, another 20% are miserable, and you can smell it in the things that they write on social media. And so what is that? 50, 20, so that's 70, maybe another 10% are still lack of accountability. Bro, I have when I see it, they're like, those are the ones that post things like, you can't trust these women because of blah, 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 blah. And, or the women that are just like, new year, new me. And they fucking take a picture where they're like forcing a smile at the most insane angle. So you don't see one of their chins, and they look crazy. And maybe they have kids now that are like 11 or 12 or 14 years old because they had them when they were 30. But I had mine when I was 15. So, meaning that like, yeah. And then some of them messaged me looking for fucking help and advice and this, that, and whatever. So that's what I was telling my middle one. Like, yo, dog, you got to run your own race. The obvious is like, don't compare yourself to those people. Maybe they're doing that, but you're doing this. So even though I know some of the bruises that you have, some of them are mine, I own them. Some of them are fucking not. And that's a fact. But the most important thing is that it's your responsibility to make sure you don't do that to somebody else. Now that you're woke and you're doing all this other therapy and all this other shit that, that's supposed to make you aware. All these kids now are self-aware and all this other stuff. I was like, so if you're still out here whipping on people and still blaming your parents, you're all the way wrong. It may be not your fault that you are the way that you are, but it's your responsibility to do something about that. And that's a fact, and that is the biggest thing I ever taught my kids. That like I am super fallible, and when I realize, I will let you know. Yeah, I'll let you know. and then I'll show you what I was doing, how I was doing it, and then I'll give you the tools so that way you don't be like that. You don't have to be in the dark. And that way maybe you can move a little bit. It doesn't mean anything more except you will do less harm. And that means you'll be a better person. And that's the best thing I could do for my kids, is make them better people than I am. So that being said, please like and subscribe. All podcast platforms. New name is The Sober Experience. I got some new artwork. I've been banned on Instagram for a few days now. Maybe I go into that next week if they don't let me back in, because I'm running out of time. We're at 51 minutes. I'm trying to keep this thing low. But yeah, share the episode with everybody you know, even if they'll hate it. And that's it. I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.